What's up, guys? It is Justin, aka the Hard Gainer Trainer here, and I wanted to put together a free guide for you guys on anabolic steroid side effect mitigation. This is probably the hardest part of using steroids. I always tell people like it's way easier being a natural. They think it's all fun and games. You just get to put on muscle like crazy, and there's nothing else to worry about. No, the amount of fucking money and time and research I've spent on side effect mitigation alone is insane. So before we get into this, I am just a fucking bodybuilding coach. I am not a doctor. I'm going to be talking about some medications and stuff. This is not prescription advice, so don't sue me if you do something fucking stupid. But yeah, so obviously different people experience different side effects. It's kind of genetic. Some people can run a fucking gram of tren with no issues. Some people can barely run over 250 tests without their nipples exploding. So I figured, why not just condense it all into one video for you guys? I try to cover it as much as I can on my Instagram stories and reels, but figured I'd do something long form for you guys. So let's get into it. The first one we're going to go into is blood pressure. Arguably one of the most important ones because it's probably the biggest killer of bodybuilders. High prolactin is probably not going to kill you, but high blood pressure over a long period of time will. So why do we get high blood pressure from steroids? Obviously once you put on a certain amount of muscle mass that's way more than what your body's meant to carry, your heart is working extra fucking hard. And some people just have a high blood pressure response. I am one of those. Put me on 250 tests and my blood pressure will be high. So I decided to manage it right away. Why is blood pressure important to manage? It'll fucking fry your heart and fry your kidneys very fast if you let it go uncontrolled for years and years and years, which a lot of bodybuilders do because they don't track any health markers and they never get blood work. So how can we deal with high blood pressure? Well, if it's certain compounds that give you high blood pressure, fucking drop those. If you know that Anadrol shoots your blood pressure through the fucking roof and you don't need to be taking Anadrol, don't fucking take it. If there's a certain dosage threshold that's like enough to grow but doesn't give you high blood pressure, stay there. I mean, that's the simplest solution. But for people like me who are just prone to it, you're going to have to learn to manage. So there's a couple things we can do. Personally, this is my protocol. So I use medications to manage mine. So I use, why isn't it typing? Telmisartan every day. It is a pretty mild angiotensin receptor blocker. So what it does is it basically blocks the receptor that tells your circulatory system to tense up, angiotensin. So it allows for better blood flow, keeps the blood pressure good. This actually helps to prevent and actually reverse left ventricular hypertrophy in your heart, which is, another killer of bodybuilders. So that's something I take daily. I take 80 milligrams a day. Obviously, dosage is going to depend on the person. Another component to blood pressure is, some steroids have a stimulant effect, almost like if you ever take a tren, you'll know what I'm talking about, or even like high doses of Primo, and they cause your heart to beat harder and faster, which is going to do what? Increase your blood pressure. So for that, you got to approach it from a different angle. Nebivolol. Nebivolol is a beta blocker. This one you really got to find your correct dosage on, because if you take too much, it'll just like knock you the fuck out. If you take too much, it damn near feels like you popped a fucking Xanax minus like the euphoria. You're just like tired and spacey, and because if you take too much, your heart is not beating hard and fast enough to properly supply your body with oxygen and nutrients, so you feel tired as shit. So I take literally like half a tablet at night, just in case, it makes me tired. So I'll take 1.25 milligrams at night, and that keeps my resting heart rate in a perfect range. Obviously, another good tool for, improving your resting heart rate is not skipping your fucking cardio, because I know 50% of you motherfuckers watching this skip your fucking cardio. So we're not going to do that. There are some natural ways to lower your blood pressure, like certain vasodilators will help if your blood pressure is just slightly over. something like beetroot powder. There's some other ones. I'm not too big into the natty subs because they don't really work for me. But yeah, any sort of vasodilator. Another one for like mild hypertension. Cialis, baby. It's one of the best fucking vasodilators out there, and you'll get a nasty pump while you do it. So win-win. I take 10 milligrams of Cialis every day. But yeah, with these, like, you do want to watch out, because you don't want to crash your blood pressure and feel tired all the time. Especially, like, I don't advise drinking alcohol at all as a bodybuilder, but when you mix it with something like alcohol that also lowers your blood pressure, it can knock you the fuck out. So be careful with that. Estrogen. So let's get into that. I am not a big fan of estrogen blockers. I don't take them at all anymore. What I prefer to do is actually run my test at a point where I can manage it with just adding a compound that has an AI effect. So what do I mean by that? If, say, 1,000 tests is where I start to need an AI. If I'm going to run 1,000 tests, I'm going to run something like 500 equipoise with it. Primobolan and Masteron will also do similar things. I find equipoise to be the best for keeping estrogen low. Like, I've almost crashed it by going too high on my, on my EQ. So let me write this down for you guys. So we got like ancillary steroids. There really is not a way to naturally lower estrogen from what I've found. And honestly, I probably should have gone into this in the beginning. What does high estrogen feel like if you've never experienced it? You will be bitchy as fuck, like just moody and feminine. That's the best way to describe it. I notice my driving gets fucking worse. Like, your nipples will hurt, but it's more on the surface. It's kind of like a burny, itchy feeling, and you'll see why I differentiate that in a second. Blood pressure will go up, skin will be a little redder, you'll have a lot of water retention in your face. It's called moon face. So those are some signs to look out for high estrogen. And some of these symptoms of side effects will overlap. So you got to kind of trial and error it. So if you are going to go the AI route, there's a couple of them. So you got exemestane, also known as aromasin. It's going to be like the weakest of all the estrogen blockers. However, it is the kindest on the blood work, and it is the only one that is a suicide inhibitor, which means it permanently removes the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen from your body when it binds to it. The other ones just temporarily bind to it. So this is actually, if it's not enough to manage your estrogen on its own, it is very good to mix with another AI because it actually removes some of the enzyme from your body. Then you got Arimidex. I'd say that's like the meaty. I've used Arimidex for a while, back when I used to use AIs. Probably the reason my cholesterol was out of whack a lot of the time. And if you are a super heavy aromatizer, we got letrozole. You got to be careful with this because motherfuckers will pop letrozole like nothing and end up crashing their estrogen. So it's definitely one you got to be a little more careful with. As I said, I prefer not to use AIs because they do just kind of trash your blood work. I find they make me more almost prone to injury too, like my joints feel worse. And you do need some estrogen for your body to function, and it actually protects you from some of the other side effects of steroids. Like, it's cardioprotective, so it'll actually protect your heart if you have a good normal amount of it. And while we talk about estrogen, let's talk about crashed estrogen. Crashed estrogen almost feels way worse. Like, I'll wake up, my whole body hurts. I'm just like angry and depressed. It's not moody. Like, it doesn't feel natural. I'm like, why the fuck do I feel like this? And yeah, it's just not a pleasant feeling. And you'll end up like holding a lot of fat in your stomach area. You even end up getting water retention from crashed estrogen. It almost makes you look skinny fat. Like, you're not full at all, but you're holding water. So it's a shitty look. So, I mean, obviously best way to deal with this is not crash your estrogen in the first place. This is why I never take AIs on a schedule. I only take them if side effects pop up. However, a neat trick I learned is to keep some Dianabol on hand, because this shit converts to estrogen, and it converts very fast because it's an oral. So if you ever have crashed estrogen, pop a couple D-ball. It'll solve the issue very fast. All right, let's talk about hyperlactin is typically only going to come from two compounds, and that is nandrolone and trend. High prolactin is like some of the side effects will be similar to high estrogen, but there's some key differences. Prolactin gyno feels very different. It's very deep in there and it's very painful to the touch. It's not just like a sensitivity. Also, when your prolactin's high, your dick will not work and you will also feel crazy upstairs. It's not like estrogen where you're just moody. Like you feel legit psychotic sometimes. So this one is one you definitely got to get on top of. There's really only one way to control prolactin, and that is with dopamine agonists. So you got come on, cabergoline, unhighlight motherfucker, cabergoline, and pramipexole. I think I spelled that right. So the difference between these two, cabergoline's pretty instant. Pramipexole takes a bit to build up in your system. You have to incrementally increase the dose because if you start off at a full dose, you will puke your fucking brains out. It is not pleasant. I always recommend going with cabergoline if you can. Cabergoline, if you are having to take more than a milligram to a milligram and a half a week, you need to lower your 19 Nor doses because cabergoline at high doses over long periods of time will actually cause cardiac remodeling. So that is a bad thing. We do not want our heart remodeled. So if you're having to like slam caber, you just need to lower your 19 Nor doses. There's no way around that. Yeah, that's pretty much it with prolactin. It's pretty simple. Acne is a big one for me. I did not treat my steroid acne for years, and I got left with some permanent scarring. If you've ever seen in my videos, I have like a fucking hole in my chest between my pecs. Because I had like some fucking cystic acne there, and there's this one that I popped that literally took a week to drain. It was so big, it just left a fucking hole that big in my chest. Gross. You don't want to deal with that. So there's a couple ways we can deal with that. So depending on what your acne is from, there's different ways to treat it. So if you're eating like shit, and sleeping like shit, that's probably the first thing I would address because steroids are not. That'll cause acne. So if your acne is estrogen related, and how you will know this, it'll be like kind of greasy whitehead acne, like just typical surface level acne. That is caused by high estrogen. You can usually fix that by getting your estrogen under control with the methods I talked about earlier. However, if you get that deep cystic acne like I do, that is caused by DHT levels being very high. So you got a couple options there. Me personally, I will never touch Masteron or Proviron because I know immediately I break out everywhere and it's like deep in there. So that's one thing I personally just stay away from. So if you get DHT acne, probably one thing you want to do is lower DHT doses or cut them. But that is not always an option for people. So there's a couple ways to keep addressing this. So for some people this works. This did not work for me. Tetracycline. It is an antibiotic. It'll clear up the bacterial infections in your skin, theoretically. It's commonly prescribed by dermatologists. It's pretty mild. It didn't work for me. It worked for some people, did not work for me. So that leaves you with two other major options besides, the over-the-counter benzoyl peroxide, which usually isn't enough for most steroid users. So you got Accutane, oral and topical. I use the topical. Oral Accutane, I got all the side effects. Like I was driving my car and I'm like, damn, that tree looks really nice to drive into right now. It can fuck with your head. If Accutane doesn't affect you like that, it's a great option. I mean, it'll kind of trash your blood work for a bit, but it permanently just like dries out your oil glands so you never have to deal with fucking acne again. It's a bitch to be on. I'll be straight up with that. but it'll permanently solve the issue. So I use the topical cream Accutane, and that it has to be continuously applied. It doesn't permanently solve it, but it is very effective. I rarely get acne anymore. It'll just be like a pimple here and there, and it's never cystic anymore. Really, the only side effect I get from the Accutane cream is just dry skin. It'll get kind of flaky sometimes, a little gross, but I'll take that over more scarring. And yeah, the topical Accutane also helps heal scarring because it basically speeds up the process of you shedding skin. So it brings new skin to the surface faster. So fun fact, if you have scarring, you're not permanently fucked. Um, all right, let's get into the next one. Thick blood. So by this, I mean having high hemoglobin and or hematocrit. They'll usually both be high at the same time. Um, and I mean, I experience high platelets sometimes too. So that's another aspect of it. Usually that's just caused by anabolic steroids in general. It is a potential side effect of pretty much every steroid. You know, people like to blame EQ or whatever. And I find EQ does raise my hematocrit more than other stuff, but all steroids have the potential to thicken your blood. Um, so that is something you want to address because having thicker blood will raise your blood pressure, which will harm your heart, your kidneys. It also increases your chance for clotting, heart attacks, and strokes. Fuck that. No one wants that. So if your hemoglobin and hematocrit is grossly out of range, the first thing I would do, and I'm going to get hate for this, it's old school, go donate blood. If you can't donate for whatever reason, like you have some fucking autoimmune condition, there's like a lot of hormone clinics, like TRT clinics, IV clinics will actually have an option where you can just pay to have blood taken off. If I don't want to deal with Red Cross, I'll just pay $100 and they'll take off half a unit of blood for me at my local IV clinic. So that's the first thing I would do. However, this is not a permanent solution because your body sees that it drops and then it just keeps raising it. So you're going to want to donate and then get some sort of regimen to keep it lower. If you know equipoise like cranks it every time, just stay away from equipoise. But there's a lot of over-the-counter supplements that actually do help with this. So, I mean, the one I use is, what is it called? Hemo something by Pro Muscle Labs. There's HemoFlow by Leviathan. The main active ingredient in all of these is nattokinase. I think I spelled that right. It's basically a natural blood thinner. It'll help after you like deal with it by donating blood. It'll help keep it in a good range. Another thing I do, also old school, I take a full aspirin every day. Some people do a baby aspirin. My platelets come back consistently out of range. So I started taking a full aspirin and it solved it. But guys, this is what you really want to get on top of because this is another one that will kill you over time. All right, we got cholesterol. So, once again, anabolic steroids kind of trash your cholesterol. Some are worse than others. Testosterone's effect on cholesterol, pretty mild. Same with DECA. Any DHT kind of trashes cholesterol. Any oral is going to trash cholesterol. Tren will trash your fucking cholesterol. I'm already prone to bad cholesterol. It just runs in my family. So it's kind of one thing I let go unchecked for a long time. You don't want to let this go unchecked. It'll lead to atherosclerosis, plaque buildup in your fucking veins and arteries, which will increase blood pressure, trash your heart, increase risk of a fucking heart attack or stroke. Definitely one you want to get on. So there's a couple levels to this. So base level, first thing I do is start with the over-the-counter stuff. So fish oil or krill oil, any sort of like omega-3, EPA, DHA. But you want to do a high dose. Like the fucking recommended dose on the bottle is nothing. I think 500 milligram pill is what they recommend on the bottle. I take 3 to 6 grams of fish oil a day to keep my HDL sky high. Another thing I do is niacin. niacin. I can't fucking spell. I'm a retarded meathead. Niacin will also keep your HDL high. This is one that I also do high dose. Typically people take 500 mgs. I take 1.5 grams. I take it at night. Here's why. It does, when you first start taking it, have this side effect of flushing. Your skin will turn red as shit. You will be itchy. You can feel your heartbeat in your face. Don't worry, you're not going to die. That's a normal side effect. So I would ease into it. Start at 500, work your way up until you find a dose that, keeps your HDL up. Another one is going to be, I don't even know if I'm spelling that right, psyllium husk. It is a fiber supplement. This will help keep your LDL, bad cholesterol, on the lower side. You can take this in pills. I use Fiberlize by, I forget the fucking brand. I think it's Dave Palumbo's brand. I'll take a scoop of that every night before bed. Also helps you have great shits in the morning, so added benefit. So that's the natural way I would approach it. If that is still not enough, which it wasn't for me, you got a couple other options. One I go with is ezetimibe. Ezetimibe is a cholesterol medication that is not a statin. This shit will plummet your LDL. Mine, typically when I get blood work, on cycle would be, my LDL would be anywhere between 120 to 160. It sits at 40 on cycle when I get blood work now. It works by just stopping the absorption of cholesterol a little more. So this isn't something I would take if I was natural. Well, I mean, this is a video for steroid users, so hopefully there's no natties here. But yeah, the one issue with this is it can also lower your HDL. So if you're doing ezetimibe, make sure you're doing the fish oil and the niacin too. My HDL definitely is on the lower side of normal, but it's not tanked. So all good there. And another newer one that improves just your whole cholesterol ratio is retatrutide. Honestly, I can't explain the science behind that one, but it does work. It drastically improves HDL and LDL. All right, liver. This is one people really like to get wrapped up in. When I get hate comments on my videos, I'm like, oh, you're going to fry your liver, man. The liver is probably it's the toughest fucking organ in your body. I fucking drank every day for a fucking year and my liver didn't die on me. The liver can take a beating. This isn't the one that's going to kill you, but you will feel like shit if you are liver toxic. So what typically causes liver toxicity? Oral steroids. The injectables leave it alone for the most part, except for tren. So liver toxicity, how that feels, you'll just be fatigued as shit. You don't want to do anything. You'll feel like you need way more sleep. Your appetite's gone. You kind of feel like you want to fucking throw up all the time. It sucks. It's, kind of similar to having a fucking hangover, because what is a hangover? It is poison in your body that your liver's trying to deal with. And with that, where was I going with that? Oh, liver is also a very big part of fat loss and fat metabolism. So if you're getting especially if you're deep in a cut, and that's typically when people like to start slamming the orals, you got to be careful, because if you slam the orals too hard, you will actually fuck up your fat loss. So with that, my advice on that is going to be, there's my cursor. Use orals. Fuck. Stop underlining my shit. Use orals sparingly. These are never going to be what puts a base of muscle on you. Orals are great for breaking through strength plateaus and achieving a look. You can't run them long enough to put on a significant amount of muscle tissue. I know every motherfucker likes to be like, oh, I took a T-ball cycle and gained 30 pounds. No, you gained water and fat. You didn't put on a significant amount of muscle in 6 weeks. So they're fine to use, but use them sparingly. And then while you're taking them, you're going to want N-acetylcysteine. This is going to just help your liver process toxins. You got milk thistle. and Tutka. Tutka is a good one too because it actually also will help with like the acid reflux you get with orals because it helps with your like bile production. And then if you really want to go fucking hardcore with it, this is the best liver cleanser and honestly just general antioxidant ever is glutathione, the injectable version. Dude, I will on the rare occasion I drink, I will pin like 100 mgs of glutathione, have some electrolytes, go out, take 25 shots of tequila, come home, pin glutathione, more electrolytes, wake up, and I won't even have a hangover. Do I recommend doing that? No. This shit is literally what your liver produces to clear out toxins. So you're just taking more of it. This shit is a game changer. Kidneys. Let's get into that one. So kidneys, typically, the steroids themselves are not frying your kidneys. There are some that have slight kidney toxicity, like EQ, I believe Superdrol. But the main thing that fucks up a bodybuilder's kidneys is high blood pressure and high hematocrit. The filtration cells in your kidneys that filter your blood are very delicate, and they really do not reproduce very much. So like when you fry them, like you're doing permanent damage. When your blood pressure's high, this was explained to me a couple times. Basically, like the cells are so sensitive in your kidneys when your blood pressure is high, it just destroys them. Same thing with your blood being too thick. Like think about it. If you have a pool filter and you got water running through it, yeah, that's fine. But when you start running fucking gasoline through it, it's gonna get fucking destroyed. Same idea with your kidneys. So kidneys, gonna manage BP, blood pressure, and hematocrit, HCT. There are a couple like over-the-counter supplements for kidneys. Astragalus is one of the main ones. But honestly, like the best thing for your kidneys is just to keep your other health markers in check, straight up. There isn't many prescription medications that are going to help you prevent kidney failure. So just don't fuck them up in the first place. Stomach. So by stomach, I mean generally like acid reflux, because that is a pretty common side effect of steroids, certain ones. Orals, main culprit. Some people too, tren. I can't take tren in an off season because I get acid reflux all day and I don't want to eat. It doesn't make me like liver toxic. It's not like that. That's not why my appetite's gone. It's just like I taste fucking stomach acid all day. Who the fuck wants to eat on that? So my go-to for this is Pepcid. The generic name is famotidine. And once again, this can be avoided by just proper compound selection, not slamming orals, not taking tren in your off season. Pepcid is my go-to. It doesn't seem to like fuck up my digestion like some antacids will do to you. Also, it is a calcium chelating agent, so it helps prevent the buildup of plaque in your arteries by removing excess calcium from the body. So, fun fact, it's like a two birds, one stone kind of thing. Honestly, that's really it for your stomach. And then obviously like digestive enzymes, like a GI support supplement. I use GI support from Leviathan. I bought NutriCost generic Amazon brand digestive enzymes. They all work. They just help your body digest the food better, passes through you better. Last one is going to be hair loss. My hairline definitely pushed back from steroids. I'm not like going bald anytime soon. This is one I don't really care about just because it's like purely an ego thing. Like if I go bald, I go bald. I'm just going to shave my head, grow a beard, and get tattoo sleeves, and I'll still look fucking sick. Some guys are really paranoid about this. So pretty much anything that is a DHT derivative or converts to DHT, if you are prone to hair loss, will cause hair loss. So that means testosterone, especially at high doses, because it converts to DHT. So you have a couple options with this. You can go like the where is finaster? I cannot spell finasteride. Maybe it's right. This will like block DHT in your scalp. However, it can also block DHT in other parts of your body, which can lead to some like sexual dysfunction side effects that can be long term. So I don't use this. And then you got minoxidil. This will help you regrow hair, but if you're actively running a cycle that's causing your hair to fall out, it's not going to help much. I don't take minoxidil because I'm one of the 10% of people that gets the side effect of heart palpitations, and it makes me think I'm going to fucking drop dead. So I don't take it. However, this is actually a cycle that I'm on right now, not for this reason, but it is one of the benefits, is running low, or honestly, some people do no test, but I don't do that. I want some estrogen in my body. I'm not doing this because I aromatize heavily. It's just something I wanted to try. So low, no test with high DECA. So you have DECA as your base. So right now I'm running 100 milligrams of test with 1500 milligrams of DECA. And I've actually noticed my hair quality improving. So this is definitely a viable option. When you run it like this, you typically don't get any of the typical DECA side effects, just because you're not. Honestly, I'm not going to lie on this one. I don't know the science behind it. But when you run low test, high DECA, you typically do not get the DECA side effects. I have not had to take caprolactam or pramipexole. I haven't had to deal with any side effects. You know, people talk about DECA dick. My dick is working just fucking fine. A little too well for my liking right now because I'm trying to focus on shit. But yeah, this cycle has pretty much no DHT conversion, so it is very, very good for hair loss or preventing hair loss. So this is definitely a viable option if that is a side effect you're worried about. Personally, I could give less of a shit, but I'm only like a month into this, so I mean, I'll give you guys an update on how it's going, but so far, viable option. Also, if you're acne prone, this is a solid option too, because you're not going to have a lot of estrogen conversion or DHT conversion. I don't think my skin's ever looked better. But yeah, that's pretty much it for side effects I could think of. I'm sure there's more I could go into. I'm not a science-based roider. I just know what happens and how to fix it. I don't necessarily know why everything happens, but I keep all my blood markers in check and I keep all my side effects in check. And honestly, that's going to be the most important part for growing. When bodybuilders talk about good genetics, they don't mean so much your muscle insertions and stuff. They mean how much gear can you handle without dropping dead. So a big part of that is going to be if you don't have those genetics where you can just take everything and be unscathed, is managing your fucking side effects. Obviously, everything's on a case-to-case basis. As I said, like genetics play a big role in how you're going to react to shit. And honestly, that's the biggest value of having a coach. I learned everything I know about gear from my old coach, Dan. If you want more in-depth gear info, go check out his podcast, Steroids Podcast by Dan the Bodybuilder in Thailand. Having a coach is a great benefit because they can, you don't know what's going on. You can tell them, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. They'll tell you exactly what to do if they're knowledgeable and experienced. And yeah, besides that, just like, guys, pay for your fucking blood work. I know it's a little bit expensive, but like, what is more valuable? Like $200 you saved or your fucking life? So stay on top of your blood work and don't just get your blood work done. Act on it when you get the results back. And just knowing your health is not good doesn't change it. You got to actually implement some of these techniques to fix it. If you guys ever have any questions, anything about side effects or gear in general, feel free to shoot me a DM. I'll do the best I can. Obviously, I'm a coach. I work with clients who I have a lot of communication with. I've gotten to know how their bodies react to stuff, so I can give them concrete answers. I can give you guys suggestions, but I'm always happy to help. All right. Peace.